After Los Angeles police confirmed that American Idol supervisor Robin Kay and her husband Thomas DeLuca were found dead from gunshot wounds in their Encino home on July 14th, it was revealed that the couple had recently met with the chief of police to discuss rising crime. On July 17th, 22-year-old Raymond Budarian was charged in connection with the killings. Kay had also attended other city council meetings to report a burglary she experienced in May and to express her fear of living in her home. On July 10th, police responded to 2 burglary calls at the couple's home. Finding no signs of forced entry, they left the scene. The second 911 call was made from Raymond Budarian's cell phone, according to LA's district attorney. Police allege that Budarian later used the couple's own firearm to kill them. On July 10th, a sun-drenched morning in Los Angeles, Robin Kay, a longtime music supervisor for American Idol, and her husband, rock guitarist and singer Thomas DeLuca, both 70, began their day like any other. They chatted over lattes in the airy kitchen of their home in Encino and fed their beloved pets, Joho, a Chihuahua Greyhound rescue, Bogey, an African gray parrot, and Turtle Joe, a large tortoise that spends its days roaming in the garden of the couple's $4.5 million hillside property. Later that afternoon, though, after Kay and DeLuca made a grocery run, the couple's quiet routine was shattered forever. When they returned to their house, they encountered a stranger who police say had entered through an unlocked door while the alarms were off and they were out. Within an hour, Kay and DeLuca were dead. Shot in the head multiple times and killed by the alleged intruder, who used the couple's own gun, according to the police and district attorney. Yet despite 2 911 calls that day and multiple police visits to the home, it wasn't until 4 days later, after a welfare check request made by a friend of Kay's, that authorities found the couple's bodies on July 14th and launched an investigation. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner told People their time of death was recorded at 4:14 p.m. that day. Already reeling from the loss of the popular couple, neighbors in their affluent community, which has seen an uptick in crime recently, demanded answers. The following day, on July 15th, police arrested a shirtless suspect, 22-year-old Raymond Budarian, outside his townhouse in Reseda. Los Angeles Police Department investigators believe Budarian entered the couple's home to commit a burglary that turned deadly when Kay and DeLuca returned home. 2 days later, Budarian was charged with 2 counts of murder, as well as 1 count of residential burglary. He has not yet entered pleas to the charges. Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced the couple was shot with their own gun. The details of the killings were revealed during a town hall meeting in Encino on July 21st, where hundreds of residents gathered to express frustration about crime in the area. Speaking to the crowd on the night of Monday, July 28th, Hochman said the couple's killings felt personal to him as a lifelong Angelino. "The government owes you one thing, and that's safety," he said. He emphasized that Kay and DeLuca were denied that basic promise, and that the system failed them. The brutal and heartbreaking murder of Robin Kay and Thomas DeLuca has shaken their Encino community, Hochman told People exclusively. "My heart goes out to the victims' loved ones as they endure an unimaginable loss. I am steadfast in my commitment to keep our communities safe and hold those who commit violent offenses accountable for their actions." Hochman continued, "We will prosecute this case to the fullest extent of the law to deliver justice for the victims and their families." The couple met at a concert in 1983. Kay, originally from Chicago, was working for country star Waylon Jennings in Nashville at the time, and DeLuca was a rock musician. They were known for their talent and loyalty. Kay began as a music supervisor on American Idol in 2009 and spent 16 years curating songs that were sung by contestants while also shaping the sound of Lip Sync Battle and the Miss Universe pageant. She died still employed by American Idol. "Robin was truly loved and respected by all," said an Idol spokesperson. Former judge Randy Jackson called her one of a kind and described Kay as a dear friend on Instagram. He said, "Robin consistently went the extra mile, meticulously ensuring songs were placed and cleared for the show. Forever loved and deeply appreciated." Kay's longtime friend Juanita Metzger, 72, says she was devastated when she heard the news of their death. "I still feel numb and pretty much destroyed," she told People. "I've lost my best friend and my confidant of 47 years. It doesn't seem real. I can't imagine a world without Robin," she continues. "There's no getting over that anytime soon." DeLuca, a soulful guitarist, singer, and producer, spent years performing with Nashville bands like the Piggies and working with icons including Fleetwood Mac's Bob Welch and Aerosmith's Joe Perry. "They really took care of each other," says longtime friend and bandmate Ronnie Brooks, 73, who recalls how the couple's pet parrot often chirped, "Mommy's home," when Kay walked through the door. Now the silence lingers at home and across the entertainment world. "It's so sad he doesn't have his parents anymore," says Brooks. "They will be deeply missed." According to sources close to the couple, all 3 pets are being taken care of by family members in Los Angeles. When DeLuca's band broke up in the mid-1980s, the couple moved to Los Angeles. They were married shortly afterward. When they purchased their 6-bedroom home in Encino in 2023, security was a concern. The property is surrounded by an 8-foot wall with metal spikes on the gates. After a previous attempted burglary in May 2024, in which 2 suspects fled the scene before Kay and DeLuca could call for help, Kay contacted private security consultant Chris Herzog, a former police officer and celebrity bodyguard, earlier this year to discuss safety measures. Although she did not ultimately hire him, Herzog recalls telling Kay that cameras won't save your life after she revealed she had experienced an attempted burglary. Just one day before the July 10th break-in, Josh Sauter, president of the Encino Neighborhood Council, says Kay and DeLuca attended a community police advisory board meeting. The gathering featured remarks from LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, who addressed the alarming uptick in local break-ins and recent rash of crimes. Officers at the meeting offered pointed advice on how residents could better protect themselves in the wake of the surge. It wasn't the first time the crime wave had drawn Kay's attention. According to Sauter, Kay was a caring and compassionate resident who regularly attended meetings and was looking for solutions. On June 25th, less than a month before the attack, she spoke at another neighborhood council meeting on Zoom, sharing her own harrowing experience. "Just a few weeks ago," Kay said, "we had our own home invasion, as we were sleeping. They broke in, climbed our wall, smashed through our kitchen door. It was scary." The mounting anxiety wasn't limited to her own home. According to sources close to the family, Kay had long expressed concern about a next-door neighbor, a man who became a point of suspicion in the immediate aftermath of the July 10th murders. Though ultimately cleared, his reputation for hosting raucous, late-night parties had unnerved Kay for years. "We have a guy next door that in the summer, he rents out the house to branding, to companies. They pay him a lot of money, and he has hundreds of people. They had gun checks, they bust people in," Kay said in the same meeting. "There's a lot of shady people that show up that are kind of scary," she continued. "They are all over the streets. They leave garbage everywhere, and it's you can't be outside. You can't even hear in your own home. It's so loud, and all the neighbors around here are having the same, are just as concerned about it. He's been arrested many times for other things, and he's a scary guy. We're not sure what to do. It's been a problem for all of us. I think these parties houses are bringing a lot of attention to the neighborhood and bringing in a lot of crime." Eventually, a public safety representative reached out to the LAPD and government officials to deal with the disturbance. A subsequent lawsuit was eventually filed against the neighbor. Related stories. Still, tragedy unfolded for Kay and DeLuca the following day when at 4:10 p.m., a neighbor called 911 after seeing a man scaling the wall outside the couple's house. A police helicopter flew over the property, but, spotting no signs of trouble, left after 2 minutes. Some 40 minutes later, a second 911 call was placed, this time from inside the home's office. The caller identified himself as the resident and reported a break-in. Moments later, the operator heard him plead, "Please don't shoot me," before the line went dead. Authorities later identified the caller as the suspect, who had given his real name. Again, a police helicopter scanned the scene but detected nothing and left shortly after 5 p.m. By then, investigators now believe Budarian had used a firearm he found to fatally shoot Kay and DeLuca in separate rooms of the house. According to police sources, Kay was found in the pantry as she put away groceries, while her husband was found in the bathroom. 4 days later, while performing the wellness check, officers were in the yard of the residence when they observed some signs of trouble, says LAPD Lit Guy Golan. They breached one of the glass windows, went inside the residence, and found both of the victims deceased. Angry neighbors claim that this is the third time in recent months that police responded to a call in the San Fernando Valley, left without entering, and later returned to find a murder scene. But security consultant Herzog cites a police policy that bars officers from entering private property without clear probable cause. Like a bloody shoe print, O.J. Simpson heading into the house from the street, a ridiculous amount, he claimed to People. Their policies are 99% geared towards cover your A and 1% toward public safety. They're worried about getting sued and bad publicity. They are critically, dangerously underfunded. They don't have the manpower. The LAPD declined to comment, citing the ongoing investigation. Arrested within 24 hours of the discovery of the bodies and charged on July 17th, Budarian is being held without bond. His arraignment is scheduled for ongoing hound 20. We must understand how this tragedy occurred. We must look into, analyze, and shine a bright spotlight on any potential gaps in our mental health system and the lack of resources for public safety that played a part in this awful tragedy, District Attorney Hochman tells People. New York City has 36,000 officers. Los Angeles has less than 8,700, he continues. Los Angeles residents deserve not only to feel, but actually to be safe inside and outside their homes. I have made it my mission every day to turn that vision into reality. It was a sunny, unremarkable morning in the Hollywood Hills when the silence of a secluded cul-de-sac was shattered by police sirens and yellow tape. But for those who had worked with 52-year-old American Idol executive producer Mark Landon, the scene was the tragic confirmation of whispers that had been circulating for weeks. Something wasn't right in his world. Now, in an Entertainment Inquirer exclusive, we've learned that Landon, known for championing emerging talent and shaping some of the most iconic television moments of the past 2 decades, was so frightened in the days leading up to his death that he met with LAPD detectives just 24 hours before he was brutally killed in a home invasion gone horrifyingly wrong. A disturbing shift in behavior. He wasn't himself, says longtime friend and fellow producer David Channing. Mark was the calm in every storm, the guy who could deal with network politics, talent tantrums, and live mishaps with the same glass of Cabernet and half smile. But lately there was fear. Channing had seen Landon just days before the incident during an off-the-record brunch at Soho House. He kept looking over his shoulder like he expected someone to burst in. I asked him what was going on, but he wouldn't say. Multiple sources close to Landon described similar behavior. He had reportedly become increasingly withdrawn, hesitant to take meetings at his home, and unusually secretive about a new project he was developing outside of the American Idol franchise. That project, we've now learned, may hold key clues to his murder. The LAPD meeting. What we know. According to LAPD internal logs reviewed by our investigators, Landon had a scheduled meeting with detectives from the Robbery Homicide Division the morning before his death. Though the department has yet to comment officially, a source within the department confirms Landon brought evidence of a potential stalking situation, including threatening texts and surveillance footage showing a black SUV parked outside his home multiple times over the past 3 weeks. The footage reportedly showed a masked figure exiting the vehicle and approaching Landon's front gate on at least 2 occasions. He told us he feared for his life. The LAPD source said on condition of anonymity, he believed someone was watching him, tracking him, maybe trying to silence him. When asked whether Landon had named a suspect, the source would only say, he pointed fingers, yes, but he didn't have enough to justify a warrant. We advised him to take precautions, to stay with a friend if he could. We were planning to follow up. Less than 24 hours later, he was dead. The break-in. It was just past 1 a.m. when neighbors reported violent noises and the sound of breaking glass from Landon's hillside estate. a sleek modern compound tucked behind high hedges and state-of-the-art security. One neighbor said she heard shouting, a man's voice yelling something that sounded like, "You don't scare me," followed by a crash. LAPD officers arrived within minutes, but the killer was gone. What they found was chilling. Landon had been bound and beaten. The initial coroner's report lists cause of death as blunt force trauma to the head, likely from a marble statuette found near the body. There was no sign of forced entry. Oddly, nothing appeared to be stolen. Not a laptop, not a watch, not even his wallet, said a member of the forensic team. Whoever came in that night wasn't looking for money. They came with a message, and they made sure it ended with silence. Secrets behind the spotlight. Though best known for his work on American Idol, Landon had recently begun working on an exposé-style docuseries about the darker side of the music industry, specifically what he called the pipeline of exploitation affecting young artists. He told me this project was going to be the most important thing he'd ever done, says former Idol contestant turned activist Michaela Ryan. He said he'd uncovered things that would shock people, contracts that should never have been signed, backroom deals, abuse. Industry insiders say Landon had grown increasingly disillusioned with what he once saw as the machine that launched dreams. The deeper he dug, the more paranoid he became, said one studio assistant who worked with him on the new series. He stopped trusting people. He started encrypting everything. Emails, calls, even printed scripts. He was terrified it would leak before he could control the narrative. Some now speculate that what Landon uncovered may have made him a target. A history of enemies. Mark Landon wasn't without adversaries. As a high-ranking figure in one of television's most profitable franchises, he had been on both sides of bitter legal battles, disputes over royalties, intellectual property, and contestant treatment. One such incident involved a 2017 lawsuit brought by a former Idol contestant who accused Landon and others of emotional manipulation and exploitation. Though the case was settled privately and the complainant signed an NDA, court documents show Landon's legal team fought hard to suppress deposition footage. Another former associate, music manager Kyle Remington, spoke candidly after hearing the news of Landon's death. "We had our issues. I'm not going to lie. Mark knew things. Things about artists, producers, label execs. He had receipts. If he was finally going to speak out, there were people who'd want to shut him up. Fast." The aftermath. A legacy interrupted. At Landon's production office in Studio City, the mood is one of shock and quiet fear. Staff members are reportedly being questioned by LAPD, and security has been increased at the premises. One junior producer, who asked not to be named, said the team had been told to halt all work on the docuseries until further notice. But some insiders are determined to carry on Landon's final mission. "He didn't die for this story to be buried," said Rain, who now leads an artists' advocacy nonprofit. "We're going to finish what he started." Meanwhile, American Idol issued a short statement. "Mark Landon was a visionary whose talent and passion helped shape our show into what it is today. We are devastated by this senseless loss and extend our deepest sympathies to his family and loved ones." The missing files. Adding another layer of intrigue, law enforcement has confirmed that Landon's personal laptop, secured in a home office safe, was missing from the property. Not stolen, but removed. The safe was open, without signs of tampering. "Someone had the code," said a detective familiar with the investigation. "This wasn't random. What was on that laptop remains a mystery, but sources say it may have contained video interviews, financial records, and legal memos tied to the upcoming docuseries. And now, it's gone." A chilling text message. In a haunting twist, Landon reportedly sent a final text to his assistant just before midnight on the night of his death. It read, "If something happens to me, check the cloud. Use the password, redacted. Don't trust anyone, even the ones smiling." The assistant, who has since surrendered access credentials to the authorities, has refused to comment further. A family grieves Landon is survived by his estranged sister, Nicole Landon, who flew in from Boston after receiving the news. In an emotional Instagram post, she wrote, "My brother wasn't perfect, but he was brave. He told the truth in an industry built on lies. He didn't deserve this. No one does." A private memorial is planned for next week. Theories abound. As speculation grows online, social media sleuths and conspiracy theorists have pointed to everything from secret Hollywood rings to major music labels attempting to bury dirt. While no arrests have been made, LAPD sources insist this was no ordinary break-in. This was personal, one detective told us. Someone wanted him silenced, they succeeded, but we'll make sure the truth doesn't stay buried with him. The unfinished story. Mark Landon's death has rattled the entertainment world, not only for the brutal way it occurred, but for what it may have revealed, that even in the polished world of network television, shadows lurk behind the cameras. His friends say he died afraid, but determined, and while his voice may be gone, his message may just be beginning. In the end, the man who helped American Idol discover America's next star may have stumbled upon something far darker. A story too big to be ignored.